you don't need motivation to brush your teeth in the morning every day. It's just something you do, you know? We kind of had planned and trained for getting to the games. It obviously didn't go as planned. There's a lot of other things that also happened that was very much out of my control. I also didn't capitalize on all the work as like where I could capitalize on. I'm just feeling a lot stronger and a lot more ready and capable of pushing. So I'm very excited for the next season. Just go?
Are you ready to go? Yeah?
Welcome, guys. It's 12 o'clock, so maybe it's not morning anymore, but anyways, it's Thursday. We are at La Finca. I'd say it's the closest good coffee place to C23. So it's a place we often go to like after sessions. It's very easy just to get over here. So today you're kind of gonna have coffee with Jacqueline and Ramsey. She's gonna be on the internet like talking with me. The questions is then based on all the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram a couple of days ago. So thank you for the questions and I hope you enjoy it. It's a tricky one. So obviously like when you train and you're pushing your limits, like you are going to get sore. Everyone is sore. Like the Monday is amazing when you come after a Sunday and you're feeling fresh, and it's like, you know, it's more just like, you know, you go into clean and like it just feels smooth. The more sore I get, the more like careful I am with my warm-ups, just making sure that all the positions are feeling good before I won't throw myself under like super heavy weights when it's not feeling good. But at the end of the day, it's just like accepting that it's part of the process. Like you are going to get sore, you're not going to feel at your best every day. I think if you never feel sore, it's probably a sign that you might not be pushing as hard as you can be doing. It also depends on what kind of block you're in. If you are in like a high volume phase, or if you're more like, you know, lower volume, lower intensity. My job as an athlete is like, okay, what's the best that I can do today? Like, how can I make sure that I'm doing the most that I can do with what I have today? It's frustrating when you can't hit even close to the weights that you might have been hitting the week before. It's just very important to try to reframe as quickly as possible and focus on, okay, what is the best thing that I can do in this situation right here, right now? And then when it comes to injuries, it's also like injuries can be devastating to an athlete. And there it's just kind of like trusting the process, making sure like first and foremost, you have to make sure that you have a good physio that you're working with. So you have a plan for how to come back. But here it's just about just being patient. A lot of people would like overcompensate to say that you have a knee injury, so you can't squat. So then, like, you know, okay, I'm gonna capitalize on this opportunity, and I'm gonna make sure my arms, like my pressing, is gonna be on point. And then they end up doing just like heavy pressing like every day, and then 2 months later, your shoulder ends up being injured. So it's like, it's being patient and being smart in the process. It was like a long answer to a short question. So I love this question. I don't know if I love this question. It's maybe not the right thing, but people often tend to like, how do you stay motivated? Like how, you know, like what are your tips to staying motivated? And my short answer would be that motivation is overrated. Like you don't need motivation to brush your teeth in the morning every day. It's just something you do, you know? So I think it's more about creating a habit and a routine that you stick to. And for me, it's like, I don't need to be motivated to go to training. It's just something I do. Like regardless of how I'm feeling that day, I will go to the training. That being said, it's obviously easier to have a good training session when you're motivated. So that's where my biggest issue would come to, like the days where I'm not feeling maybe as inspired as other days. Like there's no question, like I have my routine, like my morning looks the same, I get to the gym. But if I'm not feeling, you know, on days you're feeling great and you're feeling motivated, you're feeling inspired, it's very easy to go that little, like that inch extra. You're pushing that extra bit harder. So for me, it's more how to be able to execute and do my best, even on the hard days. More of the issue is like creating a routine that makes training and health part of your life. So you can actually take the motivation part out of it, but you're doing it because it's part of your life and it's something you do because you know, like you need to look at your values, but like your values is being a healthy person. So it depends on, again, the mood, the workout, like what I have to tell myself to kind of motivate myself. It depends a bit on the day. But, you know, for example, like yesterday I did like 3K rowing repeats. And that for me is maybe one of like the mentally toughest things that I can do. I don't know why. I've worked a lot on it and I've gotten a lot better, but I still find rowing just extremely boring. There's like, I just can't get away with it. You can tell me to do like 6K repeats on the bike and I'm fine with it. I'm kind of enjoying it, but for some reason, like the rowing, I don't know. I find it a bit like, when I realized, okay, you're gonna do like, you know, 12 minutes of continuous rowing and you're gonna do that like multiple times. So that is probably one of the times where I have the time to be like in my head the most. So yesterday, like, you know, I'd be focusing on one stroke at a time. Again, I would use that, like trying to look at the big pictures, like, okay, this is just 12 minutes of like your whole day. Like in the big picture, this is gonna be nothing. Like in an hour, this is like in the past. And then I like to sit there, I'm like, okay, you're feeling sorry for yourself now. Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? And then I go through like a checklist of my whole body. So I would like, okay, your bum is a bit tight, a bit sore now, like, but it's actually not that bad if you think about it. If I'm really focusing on how my bum is feeling, it's actually not that bad. And then like, okay, your legs are a bit sore, but I've been a lot sorer, like my legs aren't stopping me, that's not the problem right here. And then, you know, I go to, you know, my upper back is cramping a bit, but that as well is like, it's annoying, but I can deal with it. It's not, so I just like over focus almost on like, how am I feeling? What is actually the issue? Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? And more often than not, the conclusion is that it's actually not that bad, and it kind of helps me to like push through. Yeah, so I'm not very like inspired by food as such. Like I find eating a bit boring. And it's something that I'm also very careful saying this because I can imagine looking back like say 10 years from now and then like just looking back like, oh, I miss being able to just eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. So it's a bit of like a luxury problem, but I'm very easy. Like I have oats in the morning and just to kind of spice up the oats a bit to make sure I get even more calories. I always have dates and nuts in. Protein on the side, either I mix it in or I just have it in the shake on the side, but my breakfast is always oats with then dates or some other kind of dry fruit just to get the carbs up, and then I top it up with whatever fruits and berries I have available. And then lunch is pasta, rice with chicken or beef, like very simple. It's changed a lot, I think. Definitely. So I kind of started with CrossFit when my mindset was in the change. Like I stopped with, so I did body fitness for 2 years, and I stopped with that because I was sick of focusing on like looks over performance. So like I wanted to start training for performance instead, and that's how I found CrossFit. And I didn't actually want to compete in CrossFit when I first started. I just wanted to train for health and fitness. But I needed a change in environment, and like the people that you're around when you're in the fitness industry, they're focusing on your looks, they're not focusing on how you can perform. So it was kind of like you know, you need to stop squatting now, you need to stop doing deadlifts because your waist are going to get too big, you know, your core muscles, like you're getting too strong of the core. And I was just really sick of that. So in kind of relation with also wanting to change how I look at training and wanting to train for performance, I also had the change of like wanting to eat for performance. I was actually thinking back the other day, like I would go to Sweden back in the days and I would buy, because in Sweden they had cheese with only 1% fat. You know, I wouldn't eat the egg yolks. It was like, I was scared of pasta. For some reason I'd convinced myself that pasta was bad for you. Like gluten, you know? It was just so much misinformation out there that I just like, you know, that you just suck in. And I was obviously younger as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things that just over time you've kind of just calmed down. But I remember being convinced that gluten would be, it would increase my inflammation. So I would get a lot of like soreness in, because there's like maybe some backing to it if you have certain diseases and you're struggling with certain things, that like like a lot of gluten can increase like inflammation in body in general, and sugar as well. But if you're healthy and and especially how we train as well, like you need the carbs, and the sugar is not necessarily your enemy. But I very much came from a place of like, you know, I ate pasta and potato was okay, but for some reason potatoes and rice were okay, but for some reason bread and pasta wasn't, you know? So yes, the short answer to your question is that my view on nutrition has very much changed. I'm eating to fuel my body. Ironically, like, you know, back in the days, I would like binge eat. I would like, if I took one piece of chocolate, I wouldn't be able to stop. I would eat the whole can of Ben Jerry's. I would just like, I could just eat when I first allowed myself to eat. Whereas now I'm on the complete opposite. Like, I don't actually have cravings. I can have one or 3 pieces of chocolate, and I'd be okay putting the rest of the chocolate plate back into the drawer. I don't have that need to finish it. So I think it's one to do with like how much food I do eat on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm fueled, so I don't have the cravings. And then also actually just allowing myself to, if I do want some chocolate, I will have a piece of chocolate. So it's not like that restraint. So when I first like allow, I'm like, I have to eat everything now because I don't know when I'm gonna allow myself to eat again. So just by actually being more relaxed, I've, maybe you could argue, become healthier as well in terms of like the choices I make every day. No, for me, cheat meal is definitely not a thing. I don't look at food as like bad or good. It's fuel. It's what I want. So if I want to have pizza one day, I would have pizza one day. I don't look at pizza as a cheat. It's not a cheat meal for me. And you know, when you break it down, it's like bread with cheese on. It's not actually that bad. But then obviously, if you go and eat that every day and you're not training, it's not. You shouldn't be doing it every day. And then there's also a difference between making the pizza yourself or going and buying frozen pizza from the shop, obviously. But no, I don't. For me, cheat meal is not a thing. Like, I enjoy myself sometimes. Like, you only live once. Ooh. So the first that would come to mind is actually someone that probably none of the people listening to, well, maybe a few, might have heard of, but that's Marit Bjørgen. So that's a cross-country skier, like a Norwegian cross-country skier, and she's someone that's just always inspired me. She's just like a phenomenal athlete, but just, I think that's like the first athlete that I really looked up to. I think it's just like how she carried herself. She was very down to earth. Through ups and downs, she was always very like calm. Like, she came across as very calm and collected, and then obviously just like a beast of, a female. So obviously the 23 season did not go as, I wouldn't say planned, but as hoped. Like, we kind of had planned and trained for getting to the games. Obviously didn't go as planned. Now looking back and when having it a bit more on a distance, I had a tough. You could argue 22 was a very good season for me, but it was a very tough season, and I started this training for 23 season in a very not in the best place. Like, my body was very tired, and it took me a long time before I actually managed to get back into proper training. So I think that did affect my performance at semifinals. Not necessarily my fitness as such, but more just the confidence and the mindset going in. There's a lot of other things that also happened that was very much out of my control. But looking back, I also didn't capitalize on all the work as like where I could capitalize on to like the full to the full of my abilities. Is that the right way to say it? After something like that, like you go through a bit of like a tough. You start questioning yourself. You start to like feeling a bit of like a failure. You start. It's because you kind of. You look at yourself and you define yourself as like a CrossFit Games athlete. I've been very aware of trying not to do that like too much, but that still being said, like, that's what you're training for, that's what people know you for. So when you then don't make it, it's a lot of your confidence takes a hit. It's like you go through a bit of like a tough period. You get this like embarrassment. I did struggle with. I felt embarrassed that I didn't. I felt like I should have been good enough. I wasn't good enough. I was very embarrassed of not making it through. You're disappointed. You feel like you're letting like your team, your crew, because it's not just me. There's a lot of people that help me get to semi-finals. Like I'm the one at the competition floor, but there's so many people that have helped me get there. All my sponsors, like the whole team of the program. It was a tough hit. At the same time, like I think if you deal with it in the right way, you can grow from it. You can turn it into something good. You do really see who's there for you, like who believes in you as a person and who just wants to take advantage of what you can bring when you're doing well. Obviously understand that it's like at the end of the day it is business, and my sponsors aren't just sponsoring me because they want to give away money. They want to get return of the investment as well. So I see that I also have to perform to give, but you do really see as well who believes in you and who's just there for like kind of the short term's winning. This would have been now my 6th consecutive year at the games. That would have obviously reflected in the earnings I would have made, and just it would have built my career in a lot of different ways. But I do think that the fact that I haven't had just a smooth way all the way through has been very good for me as a character. So I think I've learned a lot of lessons and I've grown a lot, and there's a lot of things that I've had to deal with that I wouldn't have had to deal with if I didn't have these setbacks. That will help me a lot when it comes to dealing with life after being an athlete. Like last year, like during the sandbag event, I did injure my knee a bit. So I started off training and I couldn't really do any squats. And then went to Rogue. I obviously shouldn't have gone to Rogue. My back blew up. I just wasn't ready, and that was just my body's response to like, hey, stop, like we're not ready for this kind of volume or this kind of intensity. And now I'm starting off the season in like a good place. I can push the weights. I can do everything straight away. I don't have any injuries. So, the positive of not making it last like this year, like in 23, is that I've actually my body has had the time to recover. And I'm not starting the season being depleted. I had a long period of rest after semi-finals, but that actually allowed me to just. It wasn't from a point of like I'm broken, I need this. It was more of a mental break than a physical break. Like I needed the mental break. I didn't necessarily need the physical break in the same way. So now I'm just feeling a lot stronger and a lot more ready and capable of pushing. So I'm very excited for the next season. Just, the goal would be to have a longer, continuous training period up until the season starts. Yeah, so my next competition now will be Dubai. I do think that would also be like the only other off-season competition I would do. I'll see if there's like some smaller ones closer, because I do think this. If I look at Madrid, the takeaway from Madrid is that I do actually have some lessons to learn of just like competing, and I need to remember how to compete, because when you haven't. This also like go back to the 23 season. I didn't do any individual competitions, and you need to competing is just a bit different. Like you need to know how to compete, and it's a skill in itself. But the only big one I have on the calendar is going to be Dubai, and then starting the next season. So with Dubai, I like doing Dubai as well, because the other big one would obviously be Wodapalooza, but with Dubai you can actually have a Christmas holiday, whilst if you choose to do Wodapalooza, I would have a stressing with having to train double sessions throughout the whole of the Christmas. Whilst now it can be like I can do one session and just kind of keep staying on top of things instead of having to prepare for a competition during Christmas. Like 30, you're still quite young when you're 30. You have hopefully 50, maybe even 60, but hopefully 50 good years still ahead of you. So it's not too late at all. And the thing that people, I feel like, have a bit of like a misconception is that they feel like they have to do a certain amount of hours or to get anything from the training, but it's actually like anything you do is better than nothing. Even if it's just like, if you're not used to doing anything, like maybe even just starting with taking the stairs instead of the elevator might be enough fitness for you to start with. But then the fitter you are, obviously the more you have to train also to get fitter if you want to improve on that. But I do just think if you're 30, it's a great time to start. Even if you're 40, it's never too late. But the earlier you start, the easier it will be to keep going. There's a lot to show about just that typical just like zone 2 or like longer kind of continuous cardio session is very important just to get the heart going. But I'm also convinced that just like some strength training as well, like the older you get, the more important strength training is. And you don't have to do that as fancy. Like when you look at a lot of like the older people, like the biggest injuries come from like not being able to, walk downstairs. So that's like just sitting, like just, even if it's just like sitting down on the floor and then standing up again. For a lot of people, that's a challenge, And when we get older, that's the thing we struggle with the most. It's like just standing up from the chair. So, yeah, and this is like a bit where my passion lies. It's like where it just makes me so sad because we have one life, we have one body, and people don't look after it. Like they don't appreciate what we've got, and just like every day on planet is kind of like it's a gift. Nothing is, it's not given to you that you get to be here. You can disappear anytime, and that you won't. That kind of like short-term winning for like long-term suffering. It's just so like alien to me why people would choose to do that. Because I just find it like, why would you not appreciate the one thing, the one chance that you have, and then starting to train and looking after your body is like, for me, there's no question it should be very high on your list with like family and things like that. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If this is something, because we kind of tried a bit of like a new way of vlogging, interviewing today. So if this is something you enjoyed, please let us know. And also put in the comments if there's any of the athletes that you would like us to speak with. And then questions as well. Like maybe there's a specific topic that you would like us to cover. There's a lot of things to cover when it comes to the athlete life. It's maybe a bit different to like what most people choose to do. So if there is anything that you guys would like us to discuss, please let us know. And again, thank you for watching.